don't show what happens after the marriage. That is when the hard work starts. Just like a basketball player is going to go to the NBA and tries to make a team. He finally gets a contract with like the Boston Celtics. He's like, yeah, I made it on the team. I got a contract. But guess what? That's when the hard work starts. You think you get married, you think you got it made? Let's look at statistics today. If you have 100 marriages today, I'm talking the secular world, I'm not talking in the observant world. In the secular world, if you have 100 marriages today, how many of them get divorced? 50, 60, about 50 or 60%. Out of the ones that are not divorced, how many of them do you think are having a happy marriage? Come on, I can't hear you. What? 1%? Somebody 1%? 5%. 5%. I don't have this. I don't have the notes. But when I give ask this question to my students, by the way, there are seats down in front. When I ask this question to the students, some people say 1%. It's horrible. It's like if you get married today, I would bet the venture. Now, by the way, this statistic is not you, right? Because when people are going, there is no one going down the aisle, about to get married, we're going to have a great relationship. No one's thinking to themselves, I'm going to be a statistic. No one's thinking that. So why is it if you get married today in the secular world, you have less than a 1 in 5 chance of having a happy marriage? What is that about? And this is why I wrote the book. This is what this class is about. This is going to take the statistics and throw it out the window. If you have the right knowledge, the right wisdom in your life, going into dating, you're not going to be the statistic. There's Barry Schwartz wrote a book called Paradox of Choice Theory. The paradox of choice theory states that the more choices you have, the less likely you're going to make a choice. I mean, have you guys ever been to a restaurant where you have these big menus, and like, what do I get? The chicken marsala? Do I get the salmon piccata? Do I get the salad? I don't know what they get. And you sit there for 20 minutes, you can't make a choice. But if you go to a restaurant, usually the finer restaurants have like these small menus with like 5 items. You don't have much of a choice. And you make a choice like that. And the problem today in the dating world, that we have so many choices because of the internet, we have so many choices that we are not willing to give anyone a chance. We go on a date with one person, they have a pimple on their nose, like forget about it, I'm not going out with them. Maybe they laugh a little bit funny, forget, I'm not going out with them. We think we can swipe, next. We never give anyone a chance. And this is why people are not settling today. In fact, the statistics on marriage are very, very poor, that less people are getting married today than any time in the history of America, because of this paradox of choice theory. So the goals for this class are for you to go out into the dating world with wisdom to find the person that is not going to be perfect, but they're going to be perfect for you. Now, we're going to define some terms here. By the way, what's going to happen today is we're going to talk a bit, and sometime, I don't know how long it's going to be, we're going to do a worksheet, we're going to work this worksheet, and the purpose of the worksheet is to help clarify who's good for you to marry. We have a lot of people that come to my house for Shabbat. And many times someone will say, I'm looking to get married. A lot of people, do you know anyone for me? I'll say, yeah, who are you looking for? What kind of qualities do you want in a spouse? They're like, well, that'd be cute, and, learn it, and, have a job. I'm like, okay, that's not giving me specific qualities of what you need for somebody, right? So what this worksheet's gonna do, because you have in mind what you think is good for you, and chances are what you have in your mind what's good for you is all about you. Because who do you love the most? Yourself. So therefore, who do you love somebody else? Yourself. Who's like yourself. That's what you think we're going to have, but that's not what's good for you. So this worksheet is going to help clarify. We're going to break down qualities that would be good for you into a top 10, and you're going to need to look and find someone that has most of those qualities. Okay. First thing we have to do is defining terms. Because when you go into a relationship, you have in your mind, you've probably never done this, that you know what? I'm going to define love before I go date. I want to know what it means. I want to know what my date means. What does it mean to be married? What's your definition of marriage, right? It's unlikely that you're going to go on a date, on the second or third date, you're going to sit there and you're going to go across to this guy and say, excuse me, what is your definition of love? Is that going to happen? Probably not. This is a problem. Because you have your definition in your mind, and they have their definition in your mind, and then you fall in love, and you get married. And you wonder why 5 or 10, 15 years later, you're in a horrible relationship. Because you didn't define your terms. You must define your terms. I'm going to give you what I call the definition of love and also what I call the feeling of love. I'm going to do this also for marriage, the definition of marriage and the feeling of marriage. Because when I asked, anyone here want to get a definition of marriage? Anyone here? Who's got a definition of marriage? Come on, you're all single. I hope, most of you are, someone's got to have a definition of love, of marriage, right? Huh? Giving and receiving is the act of loving someone. That is what I call the feeling of love. The feeling of love, actually, you're right. The feeling of love, but it's not the definition. The feeling of love is when to give without getting anything in return. The feeling of love is when to give without getting anything in return. Whereas the definition of infatuation is a momentary act of desire that someone has something that you want. Now, you need infatuation in order to get love. But you have to turn that infatuation, lust, desire into love. I'm going to get into that later. Okay. What is the definition of love I'm going to give you? I learned this from Rabbi Noah Weinberg, the founder of Aish Torah. If you don't agree with my definition, it's fine. But when you go into a relationship, you better have the same definition, agree on the same definition with your partner. Do you understand? The definition of love I'm going to give you right now is, it's the emotional pleasure you feel when you focus on someone's virtues and you associate them with those virtues. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to give you what I kind of like more the Coach Ratner definition. The definition of love is the emotional pleasure you feel when you focus on someone's virtues and you associate them with those virtues. My definition is, everybody's crazy, so you better remember why you fell in love in the first place. You get what I'm saying? Everyone's got shtick. There's no one perfect. But there's someone perfect for you. When you fall in love with someone, it's amazing. Who here wants to have kids? Anyone here want to have kids? You do? Is it Emma? Are you going to love your kids? Yeah. How do you know? Yeah, but what if they're like that brat down the street that you hated growing up? Like, how do you know you're going to love them? Have you ever heard of anyone divorcing their kids? I haven't. It's a rare event. It's a rare event. It's a rare event. Let's just put it that way. In general, people don't divorce their kids. Yet they divorce their spouse. Yet they don't choose their kids, but they choose their spouse. What's going on here? What's the difference between your kids and your spouse? The reason you choose, the reason why Emma's going to fall in love with her kids, and the reason why almost everyone here is going to love their kids, is because they choose to focus on the virtues of their kids. Are their kids brats? Possible. Are the kids, messy? Possible. The kids say nasty words? Possible. All our children are doing things that are not right. Yet we're going to focus on their virtues. I have one child who loves to cook, and they don't clean up half the time. And it's upsetting sometimes. I come in the kitchen in the morning, and the kitchen's a mess. But you know what? I choose to focus on his virtues. I choose to focus on the fact that I'm so blessed to have a child that loves to cook himself, that loves to cook healthy things, and likes to experiment with different kinds of foods. And that's what I look at when I look at my child. I don't divorce him because he's a mess. Yet there are people, spouses, divorce their wives who divorce their husbands because they're a mess. What happened to what happened to them when they fell in love in the first place? What was it? They fell in love with someone. What happened to that reason they fell in love? They stopped focusing on their virtues and they started focusing on their faults. Okay, I'm gonna give you a little analogy. The reason why I started writing marriage and dating books is that about 5 years ago, excuse me, I was sitting in a hotel room, and I hadn't been watching much TV, and I saw a TV show called Chopped on the Food Network. Anyone know the show called Chopped? You like it? It's an okay show. This is a perfect analogy for marriage. Why is that? You have 4 chefs that come into the show that have to compete for Chopped Championship. They have 15 minutes to make an appetizer, and they put their appetizer in front of the judges. And the judges chopped one of the chefs off, and then they have 3 chefs have about 20 minutes to make an appetizer, and they make a dessert, and there's a Chopped champion who wins $10,000. But what is so unique about this show, and why I think this is a perfect analogy for marriage, when they start the contest, when they start the 15-minute timer, each contestant has to open a box of very unusual ingredients. These are ingredients that you normally don't use in your cooking. Things such as snake meat, squid ink, snail urine, pig's feet, things you're not used to cooking, right? You don't cook with these things. You have to use these things in the dishes. And this is the same thing when we get married. We have our own box full of stuff. They have their own box full of stuff. Yet we don't even know what's in our box, especially if we get married young in our early 20s. We don't know our dysfunction. We don't know the fact that we have an inability to connect to someone emotionally. We don't know that we don't trust people. We have a hard time, loving people. We have a hard time allowing ourselves to be loved. We have all these different problems that we have going into relationships. We might not even know what's in our box, yet alone when you try to get married and you try to what's so-called cook a dish together, and yet you can't even use your own ingredients, yet your partner's ingredients. You try to make a dish together. What happens? You sit in the kitchen, cooking, and you have no idea how to use snail urine. Right? This is the same analogy in marriage. The person we're going to marry is going to have problems. The person we're going to marry is going to have faults. It's up to you whether or not you want to focus on their faults or focus on their virtues. Am I making myself clear? You understand? This is going to happen in every single marriage. When someone says, oh, I met the perfect person, there's issues. They're blind. They're not seeing everything. There's no one perfect, but there's someone perfect for you. Okay. We talked about the definition of love. We talked about the feeling of love. We're going to get into marriage a little bit later. We're going to talk about something called clarify why you're dating. And the reason why I put this in my book is because many people date and they have no idea why they're dating. This is not so much in the observant Jewish world. Most people date for the purpose of marriage, which is why the divorce rate in the observant Jewish world is probably almost none. Take out modern Orthodox, it's probably down to close to zero. Not that there shouldn't be divorce, and there are times to get divorced. There are times you must get divorced, which I don't know if we're going to talk about. Because they clarify why they're dating. I knew when I started dating in my early 20s. I didn't get married until I was 36, so I dated a lot, and I wasn't raised in an observant household. So you're 22, 23, you're cute, and girls like you, and guys like, yeah, I'll start dating. Like, if someone says, why are you dating? I'm like, I don't know, I'm just dating for fun. I don't know if it's dating, right? You start dating, and what are you dating for? I don't know. And what happens is, you get into this relationship because you don't want to clarify what you're dating. You don't have your list of qualities that we're going to go through today. And you start dating, and the person's fun, you get into a physical relationship, and then guess what? You confuse infatuation and love, you're not getting married, and 5-10 years later, you wonder why you're getting a divorce. Because you didn't clarify why you were dating. If you're dating for fun, you have a different set of characteristics than if you're dating for marriage. If you're dating for marriage, you have a list of qualities that we're going to go through today that you know that you must have in order to have a great marriage. I know people that come to me, my wife, and they're dating someone, they're not sure, I don't know if I should marry them. And if they had a list of qualities, they had a list of top 10, they could go through and say, you know what? I got 7 in the top 10, I got the top 3, I'm good. You can marry them. Because in the observant world, people date 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and they're getting married. Do they love each other? I don't know, they didn't tell me. But I can guess that they might not after 1, 2, 3, 4 dates. But they have a list of characteristics they're looking for. If you have those characteristics that are good for you, not what you think is good for you, they're going to fall in love, as long as it's not dysfunctional. So you have to clarify why you're dating. Very important. Dating for fun, your bar is like this. You're dating for marriage, your bar goes like this. By the way, I take questions. Don't be embarrassed. I love questions. Yeah, please.
Would you mind holding the microphone about 10 inches away from your mouth?
Yeah. Is this? Oh, sorry. I didn't realize this. Thank you for telling me. Is it too loud?
Further away.
Is it better? Is it okay?
You're getting a lot of rumble, and it's just really distracting.
Thank you so much. How's in the back? Michael, how's it? Can you hear it? Is it too strong? Too?
Perfect.
Okay. I'll try to keep it down. Thank you so much. I need to get one of those things that like Madonna wears, like a virgin, because that wouldn't move. Right. Thank you. Okay. Keep doing that to me. Keep doing that. By the way, sometimes I talk really fast. And if I do that, just go like this and I'll slow down. And sometimes if I talk too slow, go like this and I'll speed up. And if you want me to switch languages, go like this. All right. We did clarify why you're dating. Now, to catch the right fish, you need to put out the right bait. You're in the dating world, you want to catch a certain person, so you must put out the right bait. If I'm going to go fishing for salmon, I'm not going to use little worms. I'm going to use small fish. Do you understand? I could be wrong. I'm not a fisherman. But like my point is, you have to put out the right bait. When I was my third, I was better? No? Maybe we can turn it down. Samantha, can we turn down the volume? Thank you. When I was in my 30s, I was single. I had a gym in my garage, like weights and stuff. I was single and, hip, whatever. And I used to lift a lot of weights. And, like Dylan here, I got big muscles, well, big for me. Not you guys, right? And so I was lifting a lot of weights. And so I go out at night because I was focused more on my body than my soul, right? So I'd lift a lot of weights. And I go out at night, I put on like a nice pair of jeans, black t-shirt with the tight things covering the muscles. Like I had my guns hanging out. And I'd go out and guess what? I had no problem finding dates. It wasn't hard. It's not like I'm good looking. I'm the average guy, but I'm normal. I can talk, whatever. It doesn't take much to get a date, right? Just be normal, have muscles, you get a date. It's not a big deal, right? So anyway, I go get a date, and I was this constant wheel, this hamster wheel of dating. I said I didn't get married until 36 years old. But I thought I was a good catch. I knew how to cook. I was a really neat guy. I dressed nicely. I lift weights, whatever. What was going on with me? Why couldn't I get married? Why wasn't until I was 36 years old I couldn't get married? Because I was putting out the wrong bait to catch the right fish. I was putting out fish sticks when I really wanted seared salmon. I was putting out my muscles, and I wasn't allowing the real me to shine. So the people around me that hung around my social circle were the people that liked my muscles. And therefore, I could more likely dated people like that. And therefore, I wasn't finding my soulmate. Because I put out the wrong bait. So if you want to put out the right bait, if you want someone to fall in love with you for the real you, for your soul, not your body, you have to accentuate, take down the parts of you that are shining that maybe other guys would like. Like if you have nice muscles, you show them that. People are going to hang around you like ones like muscles. If you have great legs or great breasts and you show them, the people are going to be hanging around you are the one that like those body parts. And therefore, you're more likely to marry one of those people, and therefore you're going to wonder why 5 or 10 years later you're in a hard relationship. Because you didn't put out the right bait to catch the right fish. If you want your soul to shine, okay, here, if you want your soul to shine, you got to cover the parts of you that can attract the wrong people. So you got to dress modestly. I'm not saying you dress how you want, but I'm saying if you want to have a chance at an awesome marriage, you want to get it to never leaving, you can get, believe me, you dress in a certain way, you'll get the commitment. You'll find plenty of guys to marry you. But if you want to get the never leaving, you got to put out the right bait. In 1998, actually in the 1980s, Sidney Frank, he had a liquor called Jägermeister. Jägermeister was a liquor very much on college campuses. I heard it tasted like licorice. Does anyone know? I have no idea. Right? Cough syrup, what is it? Cough syrup. Right, thank you, Mendel. Sidney Frank started Jägermeister, and he wanted to compete with Absolute. What is Absolute? Best-selling brand of vodka in the world at the time. He came out with a vodka called Grey Goose. Anyone heard of Grey Goose? And he wanted to sound really fancy, so he had it made in France, had put French words on it, and he charged the same price as, is this okay? You doing okay? A little better? All right. You hear me back? He produced Grey Goose, and he priced it at $15 a bottle, the same price as Absolute. And he wasn't selling that much, so he decided he's going to do something that was in the Hall of Fame of marketing history. He doubled the price of Grey Goose to $30 a bottle, and guess what happened? Sold like crazy. Think about it. You're going to someone's house for Shabbat, or going to some house for a party. And you're like, well, let's get a nice bottle of vodka, get a nice bottle of wine. And you go to the liquor store, and you see all the bottles of liquor, and you see like Smirnoff down there at $4 a bottle, and you see some of their bottles at $10, $15 bottles. Like, ooh, look at this bottle. Grey Goose, $30 a bottle. Let's get it's a really nice bottle. According to the FDA, Food and Drug Administration in America, every single vodka that is filtered at least 3 times is exactly the same, unless it's flavored. And so much more so if it's especially in the cosmopolitan or vodka tonic. You cannot taste the difference in vodka. So when someone goes to the store to buy a vodka and they see Absolut for $15, they see Grey Goose for $30, what's the difference between the vodkas besides the price? Huh? Perception, marketing, right? Perception. People perceive that the Grey Goose is better. And this has something to do with catching the right bait. Putting out the right fish. Putting out the right bait to catch the right fish. Yes, go ahead, Natalie.
Sorry. I know plenty of people that partners that then do
I'm giving you a generalization.
I hear that.
You hate what?
I hate that argument.
Okay, it's maybe it's okay. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with everything I say. Okay? Well, I am making a generalization. In life, I look at statistics and I look at the divorce rate in America, the secular world, or the chance of you having a happy marriage in America is less than 1 in 5. Okay? How long have they been married for? No, the people you're talking about.
10, 15 years.
Okay, well time will.
They're not
I'm not.
bikinis and crop tops. Like, you know,
Well, people do though.
but like, it's not necessarily like religious law.
Right. Well, listen, this is a generalization, okay? So not everything's going to be with exactly what I say. There are exceptions to everything, okay? You have people who are dating for fun, they get married and have a great marriage. I had one of my very good friends in college met a girl at the beach, one date, they started dating, they got married, like, a few months later they got married. They have a loving, fantastic relationship. It doesn't mean it can't happen, right? It just means that generally it's not going to happen, just based on statistics. Perception. The difference between the vodka, between Grey Goose and Absolut, is perception. When you put yourself out there, people perceive things to be valuable that appear to be valuable, and things that are available. For example, the musical Hamilton. Anyone here see Hamilton? Anyone? Do you like it? It's good? Do you like it? Was it awesome? Okay, I thought it was good. I think it was awesome. I don't think it was worth waiting a year for tickets. Huh? What'd you say?
U.S. history.
U.S. history, right. It was a good history show. So for a while, the Hamilton tickets were over a year to get and cost over $1,000 a piece to get. It was a good show. It was very, very good. But it wasn't, what happened was it became the thing to do. Just like when the holiday season comes around in America, and there's a toy that comes out, and there's 5,000 people camping out at Walmart to get in line to buy a toy. It's because the perception that it is rare and invaluable. And how you put yourself out there, if you make yourself cheap, if you make yourself available, people will value yourself as cheap. If you make yourself more hard, there's a saying that, what's the saying that, wait, I lost track. Huh? Yeah, it's hard to get. Sometimes people, the easier you make yourself, the less likely people are going to want you, right? Imagine a woman in New York City goes out on a date. Well, imagine a woman in New York City and she's applying for a job next day. She has an interview the next day. She invites her best friend over and says, can you help me find something to wear for this interview? I'm interviewing for a job at JP Morgan. And they go through their closets and she's like looking on dresses. And her friend says, why don't you wear this little dress? She goes, I'm not going to wear that dress out. It's all skimpy. It makes me look like, I'm a dancer. She says, yeah, but you wear this dress out on Saturday nights and you go to the bars to try to meet men. And she wants people to take her seriously. Yet when she wears to go to a job, she's something different than when she goes out to meet her husband. The most important decision you're going to make in your life is who you're going to marry. Nothing more than that. There's no greater decision. Not your job. Your second most important decision is basically where you're going to live. But the most important decision is who you're going to marry. Yet how many people take a class on dating before they go into a relationship? How many people here? Who's here dating has taken a class on dating? I mean, probably, okay, a few people have. We're in the city of personal growth, right? This is Jerusalem. So people here want to become as great as possible. But in general, in the regular American world, most people do not go out and take a class on dating before they start dating. Nor do they take a class on marriage. I remember I took a class on marriage. We were in DC and we were going to a Good Asachim congregation. And I think we had to take a class with a rabbi. Well, she was a rabbi. And we took like 4 classes, but it didn't deal with anything what I'm talking about. It all dealt with communication, which is very important. Communication is very important, but it goes much, much deeper. So perception is everything. Okay. This one you might not agree with me, Natalie.
Sorry.
I got this from my Rebbe and Lori Palatnik. It is called the 3-date rule. What is the 3-date rule? If you're going to go out with someone, you need to give at least 3 dates. Unless they live in a treehouse. Maybe they can't stop talking about their mother. Maybe they laugh like a hyena. Besides that, if you go out with somebody, you need to give them 3 chances. Do you know why? Because you don't know someone after 1 date. It's not possible to know someone. I don't know about you. When I was dating, I was nervous every time I went on a date. Anybody here going first date? Are you nervous? Anyone here nervous? I can't be the only one. Mark? You're nervous, right? I remember when I used to date, we go to the restaurant, and I would make sure to only order a salad because I was afraid if I ordered pasta or fish, it would get on my clothes, right? And forget about, I want no dressing because that would end up in my shirt, no avocado because I did it in my teeth, no peppers, I just plain lettuce. I thought I'd order because I was scared in my mind. If I'm going to only go to a restaurant and order plain lettuce for dinner because I'm so scared to make a mess of myself, are you going to know me on the first date? Is that possible to get to know me when I'm like so scared to eat? How are you going to know me? Is that possible? It's not possible to know someone on 1 date. So you need to give yourself 3 chances. We are so biased by looks that I have something called the first date bias, which means the better looking someone looks, the better looking someone is, the more likely there's going to be a second date. See, men see women outside in. We see looks, that's our, like women are inside out. Like my Rebbe and Lori Platic mentioned, you can have you meet a girl in a bar and someone says, oh, you see that guy over there? Like, he's my cousin. You want to meet him? He's really good looking. Oh my gosh, I'd love to meet him. And you go and meet him and you meet him, you talk to him for like 30 seconds. You realize porch lights on, nobody's home. Body by Nautilus, brains by Fisher Price. Like the guy's just not there, right? For a girl, forget, no matter, even Brad Pitt. It's something I gotta tell you. This is so true. For every good looking guy out there, for every beautiful woman walking down the street, there is someone that is sick of them. Brad Pitt has girls that can't stand him. Angela Jolie has guys that think she's nuts and can't marry her. Looks only go so far. And this is a very important point. The more you know someone and the more you like them, the better looking they get. Just like if you don't like someone and they're gorgeous, the more you don't like them, the uglier they get. Have you ever been to a wedding of a friend of yours? You've never met the bride or the groom? First time, and you go to this wedding, and you go, I remember this happened to me. Like, I have a friend of mine from college, whatever, and he's getting married, and I go to the wedding, and I go to meet the groom. I look at her like, ooh. I'm thinking to myself, man, he could have done a lot better than that. I mean, he really married down. That's what I'm thinking about. He really married down. The reason is because I don't know her like he knows her. When he looks at her, he sees the most beautiful thing in the world. The more you know someone, the more you're connected, not just physical, but intellectually and emotional, the better looking someone they get. You need to have all the pies in the world. When I don't mean pies, I don't mean apple pie, pecan pie. By the way, I love pecan pie. You come to my house for Shabbos, pecan pie. I'm just in Israel, I don't know, but I love pecan pie. Pecan pie, apple pie, cherry pie, right? The pies are an acronym: physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. You got to have all of them. And there's not one that's going to be in front. I know so many guys. I have a friend of mine back in America. He was like 48. He wasn't married. And I said to him, do you want to get married? And he said, yeah, I'd love to get married. I'd love to get married. I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere now. He said, yeah, but she's got to be between 33 and 35, blonde hair, good cook, rich, like all these different characteristics. I'm like, this isn't going to work. If you go into dating with a set of characteristics that are just like dreamland, you're going to have a hard time getting married. Because the person you're going to fall in love with isn't the person that's like the hottest person in the room. It's the person that's going to connect you emotionally. You have the emotional and intellectual connection. The physical is going to be very important. But we're going to end this class today with the 3 questions that you must ask before you get married. And the one question I'm going to tell you right now, you must be physically attracted to them. But you being physically attracted to them does not make them physically attractive. You get my point? Just like you go to that wedding, you see the groom or the bride, your best friend, and you look at them like, oof, they married down. Guess what? You're not marrying them. Your social circle is not marrying the person that you're going to marry. You're the one you're going to marry. You're the one that has to live with them. You're the one that has the emotional, intellectual connection. Got a physical. That's only part of it. So you got to have 3 dates. Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book, I think it was called Blink. In this book, he talked about how in the 1970s, when orchestras would try out musicians, they mostly hired men. Men were doing auditioning, and they hired mostly men. So people thought, based on the statistics, that men were better musicians. Makes sense, right? Because the men doing the auditioning know what they're doing. Well, in the 1980s, they put up a fence. They put up a screen in front of the musicians. And guess what happened? They started hiring more women because now they took the bias out of their hiring practices. Do you understand my point? So if you could date, the best way for you to date would be to do not a blind date, but a real blind date, which means you couldn't see your date. Which means you're in like, I can imagine like,
Love is blind.
Love is blind. No, not Love is blind. It should be blind. It should, no.
There's a show, Love is blind, where you're literally dating through a wall. And only after you propose to them do you meet each other.
I bet you, do they have statistics on that? I bet they're great.
They weren't so good.
Oh, no, you gotta see them before you propose to them.
No, then you get to choose if you still want to have the ring on your finger or not.
I bet you they have a higher chance of marriages for that though. Huh?
One.
Yeah, because they're not attracted. What's the TV shows they have now? Bachelor, Bachelorette? How many of those marriages last? I have no, I don't. Like none, right? Because well, first of all, everyone's going to the show because they want to be on TV. No one's going to the show because they really. First of all, everyone's gorgeous looking, right? Like they're going on the show just to become a model or an actor. That's all they're doing it for. Not really looking for love. And that is not the way to find love. Because like think about it. You're gonna have a date. You're gonna take a helicopter. You're gonna be on the top of this, fancy hotel in Hawaii, and Sting's gonna give you a private concert. Oh yeah, that's really gonna work in the real world, right? That's not reality. That's not reality. Reality is like every single day of our life, we have to live with the person we're going to live with. So we have to have more than just a physical connection. Okay, we're getting closer to the worksheet. Square peg into round hole. What's square peg into round hole? Square peg and round hole is that you think that you have a certain, if I asked you who you're going to marry, you have a list of they got to be like this tall, this. The person you're going to marry might not fit what you think is going to be it's good for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this worksheet out. Does everyone have a worksheet? You don't have a worksheet. Okay. Brianna will get you a worksheet. Does everyone have a pen? We have pens, we have worksheets, we set you all up. Okay, here's the worksheet. So what this is going to help you do is clarify who will make a great spouse for you, and you'll discover many new qualities that maybe you didn't think about before, because you have your list. Maybe you don't have a list. Maybe you just think, okay, I want to marry someone who's nice to me. That's it. But we're going to help you make a list of qualities. So first, describe. Well, this very quickly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. You can do this at home on yourself. Describe 5 or more qualities that you are looking for in a spouse. Describe 5 or more qualities that you're looking for in a spouse. I helped do this worksheet with Rebus and Lori Plotnick, and she wanted me to do 10 things. I'm like, 10 is too much. Let's make it 5. Yes, question.
You said something about having to choose what you want. How do you know?
Well, right now, this is what we're going to get to. So right now, for A, describe what you want. Not what you need, what you want. Then we'll get to what you need. That's the idea of the worksheet, to help you get to what you need. So in part A, describe 5 or more qualities that you were looking for in a spouse that you want. I'll have to add that to my next thing. By the way, there are a few seats in front. And then B, describe 5 or more of your positive qualities. If you don't think you have any positive qualities, come see me afterwards. I have a new coach in town, Natalie, can help you out. Positive qualities. Then, for C, describe 5 or more of your challenging qualities. And if you don't think you have any challenging qualities, go see Natalie. It's good to get to class early.
What do you mean by that?
Challenging qualities?
Like my negative qualities?
Yeah, your negative qualities. What do you think could be a challenge for other people?
I think you
It could be like patience is maybe one of them, right? Maybe dress. I'm just kidding. No, like, yeah, things that you might think people might have a hard time with. Yeah, yeah. And this is where we get to the meat of this worksheet. Think of 3 happily married couples that you cherish. And if you don't know 3 happily married couples, I don't know what to tell you. And list everything you admire about their marriage. It can even be your parents. It can be your relatives. It can be anybody. Obviously, stop making trouble. And for part E, think of a positive role model in your life and list the qualities that you admire about them. This could be anybody, be a teacher, someone you follow on social media, someone you follow on social media. It could be a rabbi, a rebbetzin, a teacher, a friend, anyone you admire in life, and list their positive qualities. And this is going to help us to make our top 10 list. There's 2 seats in the splash section. Yeah. Oh, okay, you can't sit there, sorry.
You take the chairs.
You get chairs and sit over here. Take these chairs and sit over there. Thanks for coming. Where are you guys from?
I'm from Los Angeles.
Oh. HLA? Are you an H here? Oh, are you an H too? Oh, you guys Getcher? Oh, you're in base? Welcome. I teach at H. Yeah. Occasionally, not a lot, you know. Essentials, leadership. Huh? I'm sorry, what'd you say? Oh yeah, you should come to that class. Wednesday and Thursday at 2:15. If you don't have anything else going on, which you probably do. Take a break. Okay, let's finish this baby. We have a little more to talk about. I want to keep you here all night. I want to get to a beer because we're at Beer Bazaar. Everyone buy beers. You will now make a new master list to reflect the kind of spouse that will be good for you. So you're going to copy on the back page, on F, you're going to copy list A and B that you made for your positive qualities and your challenging qualities. I'm sorry, your positive qualities and the qualities that you want in a relationship or a spouse. And then for C, you're going to figure out which qualities will help you to balance out your challenging traits and add them to this list. So if you have a challenging trait, what would be a good trait to balance you out? For example, if you're impatient, you would need someone who is patient, right? If you're messy, you would need someone who is, right? If you're, if you are a very touchy-feely kind of person, you would need someone who is going to want to be touchy-feely. Like, do you understand? Like, you have, that's not a negative characteristic, I guess. But you have to have things that are going to balance out your traits. And then add the qualities from list D and E. These are the ones from the marriages you admire and from someone you admire in your life. Any admirable qualities you have found from somebody else and they are not on your list, these are the things you're going to add to your list. And these are probably the things you did not think about. And when you add them to your list, you're then going to take your entire list and make a new top 10. Because previously, what you might have put, tall, handsome, rich, those things are now going to go fall way down in your list. Yeah.
Does that mean if I'm neat, I should be looking for someone who's messy?
If you're what?
If I'm neat, I should be looking for someone who's messy?
Well, neat would not be a challenging quality. I wouldn't put neat as a challenging quality. That's a positive quality.
Yes.
No, so you need someone, you probably would not want someone who's messy. Right. But that's not an exact opposite. Yet you want to balance out the challenging qualities you have.
Question to that.
Yeah.
So about that, if you need someone to be mean, isn't that a negative quality? Because it would cause conflict, you would be annoying. So it would bring out
If you need someone to, if you're neat and you want,
others, you would get annoyed
right?
that they're messy or something
So your challenging quality is not messy. Your challenging quality is that you can't stand messy.
Yeah.
So your challenge is that you have a hard time standing messy.
Or
So-
something like that.
So you would need someone who's not messy. That would be your balanced out quality.
Or like, I could feel a little bit of mess, but like maybe if someone wasn't healthy or something, I feel like,
Chances are, if you like are a healthy person and you're on a date with someone after 2 or 3 dates, you're going to realize when they're eating 3 chocolate cakes and a whole piece of pie that they're not healthy, and you're going to have a hard time with that.
yeah,
That's probably going to come out.
is that a bad quality?
What, wanting to eat healthy?
Like, if it bothers you, like, if you're just like uncomfortable, if you don't want to tell somebody what to do, if you don't want to.
Well, for you, that's not your challenge. You don't have a challenging quality. You're a healthy eater. That's not a challenging quality. You saying I can't stand unhealthy eaters is not a challenging quality either. That's just a trait you don't want to have. Yes. Is one other question here?
The last sentence, the last line says, if you found someone with the top 3, marry them. Why is 3 enough?
Especially the first 3.
Right, why is especially only 3?
Well, if they have top 3, they're gonna have more. So for example, if you have a top 10 list and they have only the bottom 6, well, you're missing the top 3 or 4. That's a big issue. But if they have, let's say, 7 of the 10 things and they have the top 3, then that's someone you can marry. And that's someone you can probably even fall in love with if you're not in love with them. If you go with them 2 times, you can probably easily fall in love with them. Love is a choice. You can choose to love someone or not. It's all up to you. If you admire their qualities and you focus on their qualities, and you want to give to them, you'll fall in love with them. Okay. Does anyone here have anything to add that's new to the top 10 list that they didn't have previously? Or did I go too fast? Anyone want to speak up? Bueller? Someone got that. It's funny. Anyone get it? Anyone have anything new? Yeah.
Something new that I heard recently that's a really good quality to and it's someone who's a giver. Like not just to you, but to like the world in general. They're not always trying to take, trying to get back.
Right. It's definitely a very good trait. But I want to add, does someone here have something new on their top 10 list they didn't have previously? Who did it? All right, huh? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Your first list was A. You had top 5, you had 5 people, right? 5 things, not 5 people. 5 different qualities you're looking for. Are there any new qualities now that you're going to add to your list that you didn't have before?
For this.
Before, so you're A, okay, you have letter A, you have your 5 qualities you're looking for in someone. Now you've gone through people you admire, you've gone through marriages you admire. Are there new qualities that you think would be good for you in a marriage? When I did this, I came up with, yes, go ahead.
So, for my patience, I didn't originally have it, but then one of my negative traits.
Impatience. So you need someone who's very patient. That's really important. Can you imagine marrying someone who's impatient? It's gonna be really hard. It'd be a mess. It'd be really ridiculous. For me, the one thing I understood that I need for myself was, which I have, thank God, someone who understands my laughter, not my laughter, my sense of humor. If I'm dating someone, I'm married to someone that doesn't understand me, doesn't get my sense of humor, I mean, things aren't good. I mean, you can make it for a while, but man, that's gonna be hard because like a sense of humor in my household is very, very important. When I do something funny, you might think it's stupid. My wife laughs. And it's very important to me. We have a strong intellectual and emotional connection because of that. Okay, we're gonna keep going. We have a lot more to talk about. Like I said, I wanna keep you here all night. Learn to listen. You guys ready? Why is it, especially in America, if I go to someone and say, oh, I have someone that you might like, you should go out with them. And they say to me, oh, I'm already seeing someone. What does it mean I'm already seeing someone? Because once you've gone out on one date, what is there left to see? I mean, they have a blue dress, a red dress, they have hair up, hair down. What is left to see? You've already seen them. Well, you should be saying, I am listening to somebody. Because listening is how you build relationships. Listening is how you learn what the likes and dislikes of other people. 2 people can be arguing, and one person is arguing. What's the other person doing? They're thinking in their head, how am I going to respond to this argument? They're not listening to the person's case. This is why when we talk about in Mishnah, Hillel and Shammai, we always listen to Hillel. Because Hillel, when they made arguments, Hillel would always state Shammai's argument first, and then give his counter argument. He understood Shammai's point of view. When you're dating, the most important thing for you to do is to listen. One of my friends, Cab, said to me when I was young and dating, he said, if you want to have girls like you, don't talk. Just listen. Because when you listen, women need to talk more than guys do. This is why women need to talk on the phone more. Men just, men share ideas and that's it, we're done. Women have to connect through talking. This is why when a guy comes home from work, he has to ask his wife 3 questions. How are you feeling? What did you do today? And what's on your mind? And let me tell you something. Guys rather have a colonoscopy than ask for 3 questions when they get home from work. Because when I used to get home from work, I'm going to grab a beer, sit on the couch, and watch ESPN highlights.
Answering the question.
Huh?
Answering the question.
And well, think of, and it's really funny. If you think about a woman coming home and asking her husband those 3 questions, it would seem silly. Can you imagine a woman saying, "Hi, honey, what's on your mind today? How are you feeling? What'd you do?" It makes no sense whatsoever. Do you know why? Because women need to talk and they need someone to listen. And they don't need a guy on their phone going, When I used to come home, I'd take the phone, I put it on the counter by my coat is and leave it there. Because the phone is a distraction. And you come home, let me tell you something. It is hard to come home from work when you've been gone all day, especially when I'm doing these, I used to be a coin dealer in America and buying so rare coins. I used to do deals, it was really fun, I was excited, I come home, and I did a $10,000 deal, $20,000, I went to my wife, and she's like, she doesn't care. The first year of marriage, first year or two of marriage, okay, she pretends she cares. But in the end, she doesn't really care. I remember I used to date, I would ask, my date, so do you like watch, I used to like to watch the Washington Redskins football team. And I would like, do you like to watch the Redskins? Every girl said yes. Not one of them liked to watch the Redskins. You're going to go out with someone, many people meet at not sports bar, many people like at softball games, they meet during the Olympics or maybe at a spin class, whatever, they meet there and they have this common bond that we work out together and they get married. Like I used to run with my wife when we were single. Do you think I have a chance to run with my wife? It's a joke. There's not a chance. I'm just happy to take a walk with her. We have different things placed in different directions. So if you think you're going to get married because you work out together, forget about it. It ain't going to work out. Did it happen? Yeah, it can happen. There's certainly like Olympic athletes, you get married because that's their whole life. But in general, if you're getting married for physical reasons, you're not going to have a great relationship. Okay. Read the back of the shirt. So this idea, I learned, I was reading a book somewhere, and the idea is that, you have an idea of what you can see the front of your shirt, but you don't know what's on the back of your shirt because you can't see it. So sometimes you need someone to help you to read the back of your shirt. These are your faults that you have when you're dating. These are things that you're doing wrong. It could be that maybe you're not a good dresser, maybe that you're a little bit of a mess, a slob, you don't brush your teeth, you smell, whatever it is, you don't fix your hair, whatever it is, you need someone to help you to be in a better position for dating. The average Fortune 500 company spends $150 million a month on consulting services. $150 a month because they want to do a better job of their business. If you look at dating more as a business, you want to do a better job, get a consultant. This is what coaches are for. This is what Rebbitzins are for. This is what rabbis are for. Help you get in a better position of dating. Okay, now we're going to define marriage. Anyone here want to define marriage? Anyone want to try? Go ahead, Mark.
Like a pact that you'll go through life together no matter what.
Yeah, true. You'll go through life together no matter what. So why do 4 to 5 people have horrible marriages or divorced? What happened to their pacts? They fell apart? Right? Go ahead. Exactly. You've heard my class before. Come on. 2 souls becoming one. We just read Bereshit this past week. Adam was looking at all the animals. He was naming all the animals. And he saw the animals mating. And he said to God, I want to have a relationship. I want to have a partner. I don't have a partner. The cows have partners. The dogs have partners. Monkeys have partners. I want a partner. But I want a deeper relationship than just physical. I want an emotional, intellectual connection with and spiritual connection with someone. So God took the back of Adam, some say a rib, not really sure, and made a woman out of him. The person we're going to marry is not the same person, is not the person that likes to play Clue, or likes to play Scrabble, or likes Mordecai Shapiro, or likes watching. The person we're going to marry is the missing piece of us. It's the person that's going to complete us as a person. It is not a partnership. Partnership is like, you have something I need in order for me to get what I want. You can give me babies, I want babies, let's get married. How many people of 20 years of marriage are staring at each other in the kitchen after the kids have left the house and wondering why they got married in the first place. Do you know how many marriages get divorced at 20 and 25 years? It blows my mind. It's crazy. Thank God. Friday, I had my 21st anniversary. And thank you. And thank you very much. And to tell you what, you know, when I first started dating, it wasn't that easy. You know, marriage wasn't so easy. And then we got involved in Torah. We started learning Torah. It got better and better. And then I started doing more research into marriage and started writing books and articles about it. And then now I'm at the point of never leaving. And this is why I want everyone to get to the point of never leaving. Not just commitment, but to never leaving. And this is when you know you're set. Nothing is going to stop you. You have the pact, and it's written in your blood, basically. Nothing's going to stop your marriage. Yes, Natalie.
Sorry to clarify, it's 21 years to get to a place of never.
I would say it was probably 12 to 15 years. 12 to 15 years. You have to understand, we got married at 36, got married late. So we had 5 children in 7 years. So we were really kind of busy. You know, like you don't have time to even breathe, especially when you go from 2 to 3 children. Baruch Hashem, it was amazing. I tell you, it was hard. 2, fine, because you're doing man-to-man coverage. You go to 3, suddenly you're zone. Like you gotta have 2 hands in 2 different places, right? Going to 3 was hard, but after 3, let me tell you something. Breeze. 4 or 5, I wish I kept going. I had health issues, I had cancer, whatever. I couldn't have any more children, but like I would have gone to 8 because once you get past 3, it's easy. And it's better to have them, this is my opinion, because people in America think I was nuts, because we were in a Jewish community. We were in Bethesda, Maryland, which is a very Jewish area, but not very observant. And people thought we were nuts, because everyone in America has, 1.9 kids. That's the average. 1.9 kids. You go over 2 kids, you're like, you're nuts. You have 4, forget it. You're like ultra Haredi. 5, they did I remember I used to go to trade shows for my business. And I had 3 children, and I say, oh, my wife's pregnant with another baby. Like, so you done? So you done? I'm like, you'll be the first to know. Like, what am I supposed to say to them? Like, what do you mean I'm done? Like, you know what they're really saying? They're uncomfortable with me having so many children because I'm taking on so much responsibility. They're afraid of responsibility. And so they say, are you done? Because they want me to be done. It hurts them, me having children. Like, 1 for 5, my mother-in-law was like, I forget, I'm not talking about my mother. She's doing great. My mother-in-law ended up in the hospital. Yes, she broke her hip, and maybe she had a shlema. She's in the hospital now, but she's doing better. Anyway, the definition of marriage is a merger of 2 souls. Who do you love the most? Yourself. If you love yourself the most, you would less likely hurt yourself. I look at my wife as me. If I hurt her, I'm hurting me. And that's the way I look at my marriage. I came up with a new concept called sunscreen love. I just came up with like 2-3 months ago. It's in my new book coming out next year. What is sunscreen love? Sunscreen love. Have you ever gone to the beach? Anyone go to the beach? Anyone go? Where do you go? What? Oh, like a beach with like America. In America. Anyone go to the beach in America? Huh? Where? You go to Malibu. Do you excuse me. Do you go for the day? So what do you do when you get there? Do you put sunscreen on? You do. Why? You don't want to burn. So you put I used to go to the beach in Dewey, Delaware. I'd put sunscreen on SPF 15, and I'd build sandcastles, I'd read, I'd go play in the ocean, play some volleyball. What happens after a while? The sunscreen wears off. And what happens, when do you find out you burnt? Like late afternoon, then like when you go to take a shower, it's 9 o'clock, I'm like, ah! Like you're screaming because your neck's fried. And you don't realize it when you're at the beach. Romance is like putting on sunscreen. Romance is the act of taking that lust, desire, infatuation, and turning it into love. Romance is things that we do every single day in a relationship that help us have an emotional, intellectual connection and physical connection. The little things we do every day. When someone dies, you're not going to hear if a husband dies, you're not going to hear the wife talk about the husband like, oh, he took me on these big vacations to Hawaii and bought me diamond rings and a Mercedes, 500. She's going to talk about the little things that the husband did every single day. Because that's the thing that turns the infatuation, lust, and desire into love. It's called sunscreen. Every time you do something, like write your wife or husband a little like love note in their lunch, every time you grab a knife from them and you rub their hand, every time you walk by them and like Pucks or Tushy or do something that they like, you are putting on sunscreen, right? Every time, like for me, in the morning, before I go learn, I learn with the rabbi every single morning, Rabbi Krause. I make a cup of brewed coffee. You like drip coffee. Call it filter here in Israel. It's hard to get filter. You can't get filter coffee here in Israel. Have you noticed that? It's all whatever, like no coffee. Anyway, so I make a coffee, and I put it in my thing, I take it down to my wife, and I let her have the first few sips. She doesn't really drink coffee, but she likes it. So she has like 1 or 2 sips of my coffee. And then I take the coffee and I go, I gotta learn her, she'll near my house. Now, is that gonna make or break a marriage? Probably not. But I do this on a number of different things. And this builds my connection to my wife. This builds my intellectual and emotional connection. This gets me not from a point of commitment, but gets me to a point of never leaving. So definitive marriage is a merger of 2 souls. And the feeling of marriage, the feeling of having a great marriage is when you feel complete as a person. Because I used to date all the time. And once I was married, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank God I'm done dating. It's like a full-time job. I mean, dating is especially in your 30s, it's a full-time job. And once you get married, you feel complete as a person. If you're in a good marriage. If you're in a bad marriage, you feel horrible. In fact, one of the reasons, the first book I wrote was on dating. Oh, by the way, before I forget, I have copies of my book, free, downloadable, digital, on Amazon today only, until about 4 a.m. Amazon, if you search Daniel Ratner, I have 3 books. And if you search Coach Ratner, there's one book called Score on Wisdom, Wealth, and Happiness. They're all free today. So you can, if you want to go on your phones, download, you don't have to have a Kindle. I think you can put it on your phone, your computer, whatever. They're free today. Anyway, you must love yourself. If you think that you're going to be in a great relationship, if you think that you're not happy and that when you find someone, you're going to fall in love with them and make you happy, you're in for a very big surprise. Because not only are you going to make yourself miserable, you're going to make them miserable, and it's going to be twice as worse. If you don't love yourself, you're going to have a hard time loving somebody else. The fact of life. In fact, I talk to many people who've come to my essentials classes at Aish Torah, and there's some dysfunction in their brains, and they don't love themselves. And their rabbis have been telling them, you got to get married, get married. I'm like, no, you can't get married. You must love yourself before you can love somebody else. One of the most important things in marriage. Okay, we're going to finish real quickly because I know it's been a long time. The 3 questions you must ask yourself before you get married. You ready? If you have questions, I take questions. Don't be embarrassed. The 3 questions you must ask. Number 1, we talked about, you must be physically attracted. That doesn't make them physically attractive to somebody else, but to you, they're physically attractive. Number 2, you must have common meaningful goals. Common meaningful goals must be more than just running a marathon. Must be more than just having children. It must be just more than taking fancy vacation, has a big fancy house. It must be spiritual. You must have a spiritual, and that connection be to giving, whatever it is you have to do. The reason why people in the religious world have a much lower divorce rate is because they have a common purpose in life. And our common purpose in my life of my wife and I is we love to teach, and we love to help people out. And we host all the time, and we love teaching. We love teaching Torah and bringing God down to the world. That's our common purpose. Number 3, it's different for a man and a woman. For a woman, she has to ask herself this question. Do I respect him? Do I respect him? Because if you ask a woman, do you respect the guy you're going to marry? And she looks away or she hesitates, there's an issue. For example, if you're dating a guy that wants to learn full-time for the rest of his life, and you want a guy that's going to be an attorney making a lot of money, you're going to have an issue. You can't expect people to change. You hope they change. You hope they grow. You want people to be in that ladder. That ladder, when Jacob was at Har Hamoria and he dreamt of the ladder going from the ground to heaven, and the angels were on it, you got to have that connection. You got to be on the ladder. You can be different rungs on the ladder, but you have to be on that ladder. If you don't respect the guy, you're going to have a hard time. And for a man, it's a different question. You ready? Am I willing to make her happy the rest of my life? Am I willing to make her happy the rest of my life? If you can say yes, especially when she's 40 pounds heavier and everything's sagging, she's got wrinkles, then you can get married. Remember, are you physically attracted? Do you have common meaningful goals? For a woman, do I respect him? And for a guy, am I willing to make her happy the rest of her life? And you might be saying, why does the woman have to say that? Because if a man makes a woman happy, she's going to make him happy. That's a fact of life. Okay. How to get to never leaving. Why is my book called Never Leaving? The Four Phases of Love. I dated a lot. I dated a lot of wonderful women. I learned a lot. On my second date with my wife, we were out together, and I said something to her. I was 34 years old at the time, still somewhat immature. I said to her, I'm never leaving. You know what she said to me today? You still haven't left. And that's what today's about. I want everyone here today to have a passionate, loving relationship with one person the rest of your life. And that's my goal. My blessing to you is that you take this wisdom, read the books, come to more classes, ask me, text me, whatever, and you can also have a fantastic relationship, and you can also get to never leaving. Thank you very much.
You got a lot going. That was so good. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
I just want to make a shameless plug. Coach has his 4 books online. Just drive that fact home. 4 of his books are now online for free on Amazon. You can download them today. Again, Coach asked that you write a review on Amazon. They're very helpful for him. They're also great books, very easy reads. With another one coming out
Next year.
next year.
Yeah.
You can also follow Coach and I at our podcast.
All right, go ahead.
You can follow our podcast. It's called the Living in Clarity Podcast. Recently rebranded from the Fishing Coach Show. You can search either of those up on YouTube, or however you prefer to listen to your podcast, the Our Vision video. Our new season starts next week, and it's very exciting. We got some exciting interviews coming out soon. So make sure you subscribe. It's called Living in Clarity Podcast because clarity is the only way to live. I just want to make a quick statement and call out to 2 guys who are in the audience. I'm not going to say who they are. We got 2 guys who got glasses today for the first time.
Yeah.
The change their face forever. The nose is going to look so good. I just got my glasses for the first time in April, and it changed everything. I never had glasses for 28 and a half years. The reason I'm bringing this up because glasses show you what you're not seeing. For a long time, I was using sunglasses, and they just show me more of this blurry world that I was living in. So watching is great, and I think we should go.
How do we get it?
Point is, Coach was saying you're looking for the opposite character traits. You're looking for someone who complements what you already know. So if you find
That's it.
somebody who's
That's it.
just like
So is
you,
it. I've got
and
it.
just
Yeah.
completely
I don't know.
just tells you what you already know.
How do you download? How do you do it?
Sounds good. It feels good for a while.
I'm not sure.
It's not really
Yeah.
adding any clarity.
It's till midnight tonight is your time.
So 4 at 4 a.m.
That's why we decided to do a podcast.
What is that?
So
Start it
subscribe
quietly.
today. Make sure you follow us. Great to have you. Comments, and likes. And thank you so much for joining. See you next time.
It was wonderful.
Thank you. Good dance. Get it. Yeah. Nice.
Coach, great job.
Did you tell me to create? And then,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yes.
I thought you did. 'Cause I know I wanted to make it like a seminar.